Picture this: Jesus, on the cross, nails through his hands, crown of thorns, blood, pain, death. But wait, in the Gnostic texts, he's not suffering, he's laughing, from above, watching, while the Archons, the cosmic rulers, crucify an empty shell. Second treatise of the great Seth, Nag Hammadi. Codex 7. Jesus narrating in first person. They saw me, they punished me. It was another their father who drank the gall and the vinegar. It was not I. But I was rejoicing in the height, and I was laughing at their ignorance. Laughing at their ignorance. The Apocalypse of Peter describes two Jesuses at the cross, one nailed, suffering, one standing above, smiling. He whom you saw on the tree, glad and laughing, this is the living Jesus. Scholar Marvin Meyer put it like this: what makes the crucifixion laughable is the ignorance of the powers who think they can execute the real, living Jesus. Ignorance, that's the word. The Archons maintain power through one mechanism, keeping you blind, and Jesus taught a gaze, a quality of seeing, that strips them completely of power. The moment you activate it, not faith, not belief, seeing. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works, and how you can test it today, right now, in your own life. December 1945. Upper Egypt, near Nag Hammadi, a farmer digging for fertilizer hits something hard, a sealed clay jar. He breaks it open. Inside, 13 leather-bound codices, 52 texts, an entire library of early Christian writings that had been buried around 367 CE. Why? Because Bishop Athanasius of Alexandria ordered them destroyed. Heresy. Burn them. But someone didn't obey. Someone hid them in the desert for 1,600 years. And in 1945, they came back. The Apocryphon of John. The secret book of John. Karen King, Harvard scholar, called it the first Christian writing to formulate a comprehensive narrative of the nature of God, the origin of the world, and human salvation. The Gospel of Thomas. 114 sayings of Jesus. No miracles, no crucifixion story, just pure teaching. The Gospel of Philip. Mystical theology. How the Archons deceive. Elaine Pagel's, Princeton, her 1979 book, The Gnostic Gospels, proved that early Christianity was a diverse and complex movement. Radically different understandings of Jesus, competing for centuries, and one side won. The other side got buried in the desert. Until 1945. These are primary sources from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th centuries, as old as the New Testament itself, and they describe a completely different Jesus, a completely different cosmos, and a completely different you. The Gnostic cosmos starts with a mistake, a catastrophic cosmic mistake. The supreme God, the monad, the invisible spirit, emanates divine beings called aeons. Together they form the pleroma, the fullness, divine reality. One of these aeons, Sophia, wisdom, tries to create without her divine partner, alone. And the result? A deformed, ignorant being. Yaldabaoth, the demiurge. The Apocryphon of John describes him. The Archon who is weak has 3 names. The first name is Yaldabaoth, the second is Saklas, and the third is Samael. 3 names, 3 revelations. Yaldabaoth. Child of chaos, Saklas. The fool, Samael. Blind God, lion face, serpent body. And here's the critical part. He doesn't know the true God exists. He genuinely believes he is supreme, and he declares, "I am God, and there is no other God beside me." Isaiah 45:5, inverted. But he's ignorant of his strength, the place from which he had come. And this blind, arrogant being creates the material world, not the true God, a false God, and the structure he builds is a prison, 7 planetary spheres, the Hebdomad, each ruled by one of Yaldabaoth's offspring, 7 Archons with animal faces, sheep, donkey, hyena, 7-headed serpent, dragon, ape, fire, each governing a domain of human experience. And the mechanism they enforce? Hymarmene, fate, destiny, but not natural destiny, tyrannical destiny designed for enslavement. The hypostasis of the Archons describes when Yaldabaoth makes his declaration, and a voice from above responds, "You are wrong, Samael, that is, God of the blind." The true God correcting the impostor. But Yaldabaoth doesn't hear. He's blind to his own blindness, and that blindness is the key to everything. So if the material world is a prison run by a blind God, how did anything divine get inside us? The Apocryphon of John tells the story. Yaldabaoth and his Archons build a human body. Adam, a vessel, flesh, mud, slime, dead, lifeless. But Sophia tricks Yaldabaoth into breathing his stolen divine power into the body, and suddenly Adam wakes up. His thinking was superior to all those who had made him. The Archons panicked. There's divine light inside the human. They can't remove it, so they bury it under layers of forgetfulness. The Apocryphon. They brought a counterfeit spirit, the spirit which originates in matter, which is the ignorance of darkness and desire. The counterfeit spirit. Antimimon pneuma, a false consciousness, reactive, compulsive, automatic, laid over the divine spark to prevent its recognition. And then the cup of forgetfulness. Souls destined for reincarnation drink and forget who they are, where they came from, what they're doing here. But the divine spark remains, hidden, waiting. The luminous epinoia was hidden in Adam in order that the Archons might not know her. Gospel of Thomas. Logian 28. Jesus says, "I stood in the middle of the world and appeared to them in the flesh. I found them all drunk. I didn't find any of them thirsty. My soul ached for the children of humanity because they were blind in their hearts and couldn't see." Drunk. Blind. Not because they're evil, because they've forgotten. And the Archons don't need chains when humanity is asleep. So where does Jesus fit? In the Gnostic story, he's not a sacrifice, he's a revealer. Orthodox Christianity says Jesus saves through his death. Gnostic Christianity says Jesus saves through his teaching. Direct transmission of gnosis, experiential knowledge that awakens the spark. Elaine Pagels. The living Jesus of these texts speaks of illusion and enlightenment, not of sin and repentance. Instead of coming to save us from sin, he comes as a guide who opens access to spiritual understanding. Gospel of Thomas opens, "These are the hidden words that the living Jesus spoke," and immediately declares, "Whoever finds the meaning of these words will not taste death." Salvation is finding meaning, not believing a creed. Gospel of Philip goes further. He who achieves gnosis is no longer just a Christian, but a Christ. A Christ, not the only Christ, a Christ. And Jesus' mission was specifically to outsmart the Archons. Second treatise. He descends through the Archonic spheres, shape-shifting. "I was altering my shapes, changing from form to form." The Archons don't recognize him. He passes through invisible until he reveals himself. Pistis Sophia describes the moment. "All the Archons and the powers therein were agitated and afraid because of his exceeding light. His light becomes 49 times stronger. He reverses the movement of the celestial sphere, disrupts the Archon's power, and teaches passwords, seals, responses for his disciples' future ascent." Orthodox Christianity requires a mediator. Priest, church, sacrament. Gnostic Christianity eliminates the mediator. Pagules. Self-knowledge is knowledge of God. The self and the divine are identical. If that's true, every archon, every force between you and the divine, becomes irrelevant. This is radical, dangerous, which is why it was buried. So what exactly did Jesus teach? One thing, over and over: how you see, your perception, your awareness. Matthew 6:22. Jesus says, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light." Healthy, single, unified. The Gnostics called this the single eye, the organ of gnosis, perception that sees through Archonic illusion. Gospel of Thomas, Logian 24. There is light within a person of light, and they light up the whole world. If they don't shine, there's darkness. Academic analysis confirms. Light in the Gospel of Thomas is not merely symbolic, it is ontological. It signifies the primal essence of being and the medium through which gnosis becomes possible. Logian 22. The instruction for creating the new gaze. When you make the two into one, and make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner. When you make eyes in the place of an eye, then you'll enter the kingdom. Eyes in the place of an eye, singular, non-dual vision that collapses the Archon's primary tool, division. Logian 5. The practice. Know what is in front of your face, and what is hidden from you will be disclosed to you, for there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. Logian 113. The punchline. The Father's kingdom is spread out upon the earth, and people do not see it. It's already here. You're just blind to it. Gospel of Philip. The transformation. You saw the Spirit, and you became Spirit. You saw Christ, and you became Christ. What you see, you shall become. The through line? The Archons are characterized by blindness. Samael. Blind God. They impose blindness through forgetfulness, through the counterfeit spirit. Jesus teaches awakened seeing, and awakened seeing is itself the mechanism of liberation. The gaze is not passive observation. It's an active, transformative force that dissolves the architecture of Archonic control. But how does seeing actually disarm a cosmic power? Gospel of Philip. The clearest articulation. Each of us should dig inside ourselves until we find the root of evil and pull it out. As soon as we see it, it will be pulled out. But when we do not see it, it burrows down deep within us and bears fruit in our hearts. It overpowers us, takes us captive, and enslaves us. And here's the key line. It draws its strength from our ignorance of it, and as long as it is there, it is at work. Evil's power is directly proportional to unconsciousness. Recognition is not a step toward liberation. It is liberation. The moment you see the root, it's already being pulled out. 3 mechanisms. First, naming strips deceptive power. Gospel of Philip. The powers wanted to deceive man. They took the name of those that are good and gave it to those that are not good. Knowing an Archon's true name reverses the dynamic. Second, declaring origin neutralizes interrogation. Gospel of Thomas, Logian 50. If they ask you, "Where do you come from?" tell them, "We've come from the light, the place where light came into being by itself." Knowing who you are makes the Archon's challenge meaningless. Third, fearlessness dissolves false authority, hypostasis of the Archons. Norea confronts the Archons. She doesn't fight. She declares her true identity and calls upon the true God. The angel Elileth appears. Do you think these rulers have any power over you? None of them can prevail against the root of truth. Colossians 2:15. Even Paul described the crucifixion as exposure. Having disarmed the principalities and powers, he made a public spectacle of them. The Greek word apekduomai means literally to strip off. Christ didn't defeat the powers through superior force. He exposed them, and exposure was enough. The principle applies directly to inner life. Unconscious patterns, compulsive reactions, unexamined fears, inherited beliefs. These function as internal archons. They control behavior precisely because they operate below awareness. The moment you name them, see them clearly, recognize them for what they are, their grip loosens. Carl Jung recognized exactly what the Gnostics were describing. In 1916, Jung wrote the 7 Sermons to the Dead under the pseudonym Basilides of Alexandria, a 2nd century Gnostic teacher. Scholar Lance Owens concluded, in 1916, Jung had seemingly found the root of his myth, and it was the myth of gnosis. The parallels are structural. Gnostic archons equal Jungian shadow, complexes, unconscious compulsions. The demiurge equals ego inflation. The pleroma equals the collective unconscious, the self. The divine spark equals the self archetype. Gnosis equals individuation. Jung's key insight. The archons are the unconscious complexes. They are autonomous, powerful, and they operate through your ignorance of them. A complex controls you precisely because you don't know it's there. The moment you bring it to consciousness, name it, recognize its pattern, its compulsive power diminishes. This is identical to the Gospel of Philip's teaching. You don't need to believe in literal cosmic beings to work with archonic dynamics. Every fear you haven't named, every reactive pattern you haven't examined, every inherited belief you've never questioned, these are your inner archons. Modern science is actually confirming what the Gnostics described. Arthur Dieckmann, 1966, coined deautomatization, an undoing of habitual psychological structures that organize, limit, select, and interpret perceptual stimuli. This is precisely what the Gnostics described. The archons maintain control through automatized perception. Meditation and contemplation work by disrupting these automatic filters, allowing direct perception. Metacognition. Awareness of awareness. Research from 2015, Trends in Cognitive Sciences. In the absence of meta-awareness, we become experientially fused with what we experience. This experiential fusion is what the Gnostics called sleep or drunkenness. Meditation cultivates metacognitive insight, experiencing thoughts as mental events and not as the things that they seem to represent. The Gnostic practice of naming archons is a form of metacognition. Identifying a reactive pattern creates distance between awareness and the pattern. Long-term meditators self-induce high-amplitude gamma synchrony. Mindfulness training increases interoceptive awareness. Equanimity, a calm, balanced mind, is a measurable, trainable capacity. This maps directly onto the Gnostic concept of the immovable race. The science validates the ancient instruction. Awareness is not passive. It is a force that reorganizes cognition, reduces emotional reactivity, and increases psychological freedom. And once you understand this mechanism, you start seeing archons everywhere in the modern world. The Gnostic framework describes a system that harvests human awareness through distraction, forgetfulness, and the inversion of meaning. This is the business model of the 21st century. The archons harvested consciousness. Algorithms harvest attention. Social media platforms are engineered to capture and hold attention through addictive feedback loops. A Cambridge paper documents the consequences: poor sleep quality, attentional scarcity, deflated free will, social isolation, anxiety, depression. The Gnostics would have recognized every symptom. The 4 Archonic mechanisms map precisely onto modern attention capture. Enforcing forgetfulness, algorithms keep you scrolling, forgetting your deeper purposes. The counterfeit spirit, social media personas, function as digital anti-maimon pneuma. Inverted naming. Connection sells isolation. Freedom sells surveillance. Keeping humanity asleep, mindlessly consuming without metacognitive awareness. Reclaiming sovereignty over your attention is the modern practice of disarming the Archons. Every time you notice you've been scrolling unconsciously and choose to stop, you perform the Gnostic act. Every time you question an inherited narrative and ask, "Who benefits from me believing this?" you are naming the Archon. So here's what you can actually do. 4 practices drawn directly from Gnostic teachings that you can start today. Practice 1, the Divine Spark Meditation, based on Gospel of Thomas, Logion 3, 10 to 15 minutes. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Take 5 deep breaths. Bring attention inward. Ask silently, "Who am I beneath my thoughts, roles, and stories?" Notice thoughts arising but do not follow them. Instead, observe. That is a thought. But what is aware of the thought? Allow attention to rest on the awareness itself. This is the divine spark. When you notice identification with a thought or emotion, gently recognize, this is a garment, not the wearer. Close by, silently affirming, the kingdom is within me and outside of me. I am a child of the living light. Practice 2. The Archon Recognition Practice, based on Gospel of Philip and Jungian shadow work. Throughout the day, practice catching reactive states as they arise: sudden anger, fear, shame, craving, compulsive scrolling. When you notice a reactive pattern, pause. Name it internally. An Archon has appeared. Do not fight the reaction. Simply witness it with calm attention. I see you. I know what you are. Ask, what does this pattern want from me? What awareness is it trying to prevent? Notice how the reactive impulse weakens when illuminated by awareness. Keep a journal. Track your patterns. These are your personal 7 Archons. Practice 3. The Passerby Practice, based on Gospel of Thomas, Logion 42. When you feel pulled into a reactive situation, silently declare, I come from the light. This is not my home. I am passing through. Feel the shift. You are not the situation. You are the awareness moving through it. Let the moment pass without adding your identity to it. Practice 4. The Paradox Contemplation, based on Thunder, Perfect Mind. 10 minutes. Select a passage. I am the first and the last. I am the honored and the scorned. I am the whore and the holy one. Read it aloud slowly 3 times. Close your eyes. Hold both poles of the paradox simultaneously. Notice the mind's attempt to resolve, categorize, choose one side. Let this impulse go. Rest in the tension. This is non-dual awareness. The single I. The eyes in the place of an eye. The Gnostic texts describe something disarmingly familiar: the experience of waking up inside your own life. The Archons are the forces, internal and external, that keep you asleep, reactive, forgetful of who you are. Jesus, in the Gnostic telling, did not come to fight these forces. He came laughing. He came to show that the moment you see them clearly, they have already lost. The second treatise captures this perfectly. I was laughing at their ignorance, not from cruelty, from the recognition that blindness cannot hold what has opened its eyes. The entire Archonic system depends on one thing: your unconsciousness. Remove that single prop, and the architecture collapses. The ancient texts say it. Jung confirms it. Neuroscience measures it. The attention economy proves it by negative example. The most profitable systems in history are built on capturing the very awareness that, when reclaimed, sets you free. The gaze Jesus taught is not supernatural. It is the natural capacity of awareness, the divine spark itself, looking, directed with clarity, fearlessness, and the quiet knowledge of its own origin. The Archons were born blind. You were not. The practice begins the moment you decide to open your eyes,